talking about it for days. Okay, well, now that Jim is here and you guys have introduced yourselves, he can probably tell you a little bit about his background, but one of the things that I love about Jim is how he's always, from day one, been one of the best motivators. And Jim, can you give us any tips on how you keep your kids motivated and how you like motivate girls and guys, and if you do that kind of thing, you know, when you're working with the two different teams?
Sure. I think it's all on an individual basis, but it can be shared with the group. So all of us are motivated by different things. Some it's something that's tangible, while others it's long-term, short-term, you name it. But I think if you set a goal for yourself or for your group or for, you know, your family or whatever the goal might be, whether it be personal, business, academic, sport, I think it really gives you a sense of direction. I'm a big believer in finding things in life that you love. Like, you have to have passion and then love what you do. And then the greatest thing is when you can find alike people that you can share that passion with, because there's nothing better than having done something and accomplish it as a group. So you guys may or may not know it, but in your pursuit of swimming goals, you're actually helping each other out, because you can't do the things that you do in meets without having the day in and day out workouts to push each other. So I'm just a huge believer in supporting one another, knowing each other's goals so that you can help, finding what your strengths are, finding what your weaknesses are, improving those things, sharing those things, but most of all, just having a passion for what you love to do.
That's awesome. What one of the older kids, the ones that couldn't be on, had some questions for you. And one of them asked, what's the biggest thing coaching's taught you? Which I love this question.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah,
and
right?
The people that work the hardest in the long run end up getting what they want. So we're a world of adversity, and this is we're living in it right now. Our sport is filled with adversity. Those that never give in, those that never back down, those that figure out a way to make it work are ultimately the ones that succeed. Yeah. So if you look at people that are successful in business and school and in sport, you will find that they had failure somewhere along the way, whether it was a swim or whether it was a season or whether it was a test grade, you name it, but they have failure. There's two things that you can do when you have failure. You can learn from it, or you can just let it eat you alive. So I'm a big believer in figuring out and breaking down why certain things happen and then attacking. And I really think that coaching has more or less showed me that the ones that are ultimately successful are the ones that never stop trying and figure out a way. We have a saying, and I think it really goes true for what we're dealing with right now, and that's improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Oh, that's good.
Those things are what really make us. I stole it from Bear Grylls because I love him. But what it really is it's a special forces way of dealing with things that are the impossible. And again, I'll say it one more time. It's improvise, adapt, and overcome. So when you
that's good.
When you don't get that time, or when you don't have that season that you want, don't back down. Figure out a way to keep going for it.
That's cool. What kind of another question someone asked is, what type of diet do you like for your swimmers, or do you even work on that?
It's a big part of our sport. And I think that it's going to be different for everyone based on what they need. So for some of you guys are growing, and you need to make sure that it's well balanced. You need to make sure that you're getting the foods that are necessary, but you also need to make sure that the calorie count is correct and that you get foods that are enriched with vitamins and minerals. And so my biggest thing is I try to tell my kids, stay away from things that are fried, even though they taste so good. Try, if anything, to make sure that you eat within 20 minutes of exercise. And that could be as simple as a half a bar. It could be a piece of fruit. It could be a chocolate milk. If you eat immediately following exercise, then your muscles continue to grow. If you can't get nourishment, you can't eat anything within 20 to 30 minutes after exercise, this is going to sound gross, but your body starts eating itself. And so you eat the muscle that you just built in that workout. So make sure that you're really recovering the way that you should. And nutritionally, it all depends on you. Like I have a lot of my students that need to get stronger and add muscle. And I have others that need to get more fit and probably need to be careful. So my range of calorie count is all over the place. I have some that are around 3,000, and I have some that are close to 8,000 calories a day. And it's very specified for you, your metabolism, where you are in life, genetics, you name it.
Is 3,000 a lot?
No, it's kind of on the low end for a swimmer. I'm lucky that I have nutritionists that come in and really present. And if anything, they take care of it. I think nutrition is a valuable science. I know that my knowledge level is probably a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. And I know that it's like going to a doctor. When you get someone that really knows it in and out and that really adjusts it for you, that's the key. But it's healthy habits, healthy diet, healthy supply of calories, and making sure that you recover and eat within 20 to 30 minutes of exercise.
When you have kids that are like we have them, like they're in the water and they're training for their 2 hours or hour and a half for some of these guys, and then they have to get out and do dry land. So do you suggest that they eat those bars right then? That's what they kind of do. They almost are craving it, you know?
It depends on their stomach.
Yeah.
I do think that you need to have something in you towards the end of that swim, because you need to have it absorbed by the time that you get to the dry land. So if your dry land starts at 4, you want to start eating for that around 3:40, right? Because you want your body to be able to absorb it so that you can use it. If you wait until 4, you're not going to get the benefits of what you ate until after your dry land is over with. So if you have the stomach, then you can eat something that's solid, like a bar or a piece of fruit or a snack. But if you don't, there's a lot of liquid products out there that you can get in powder form and that you can add to your drink. I have a lot of my students that have 2 water bottles. One that is like color coded in tape that has water, and one that has some type of product that's like going to replenish either electrolytes or calories, or has more protein in it, or has something that is suited for them.
Yeah, some
Does
kind of
that make
smoothie
sense?
type thing, you guys.
Mhm.
No, don't go for chemicals. Okay, keep it all natural. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's another thing. You have to be really careful about the nutritional products that you buy. The long and short of it is that you have to know what's in that product. Some of it is on the back ingredients, but some trace elements may not be.
Right.
So if you get anything from a nutritional store, just make sure that you share it with your coaches so that they know what you're using.
Yeah, because remember, I think I've told you guys, or at least senior 2, the story when we went to Jamba Juice before Nationals. And then we found out that Jamba Juice had cross-contamination, so I had to pull Caroline from her events, because when I looked up it, and the drink I drank had 26 illegal medicine or drugs in it.
Wow.
The one
Yep.
she had 5, and all she did was get a smoothie. But when we got it tested, so we had to go to Jamba Juice. We actually went to the president, and we got him to get the information to us. So it was wild. So you got to be real careful about that kind of stuff. Another question that the kids were asking is,
Yeah, it.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
No, no. It's pretty serious. You know, just make sure that, you know, there's a list, and United States Swimming does a good job of giving a list of nutritional products that they approve. So I think you can get on their website and look within there. And if you can't, they actually have a nutritionist. They have a few that are on staff that you can email with questions.
Cool. Another question some of the kids asked is, do the kids have trouble balancing their schoolwork and swimming, you know, in college? And I know this answer, but you can go, I want you to go with it. Same with, along with that is,
So,
can they take STEM courses and engineering courses in a D1 school? Which, yeah, we know the answer, but go ahead.
yep.
Did you get that, Jim?
So in the recruiting process, I try to ask a lot of questions about their academics and their drive and their ability to multitask, and also how organized they are with time management, because it does take a certain type of person to do that high a level of academics and also train at that level. Some people have it within them and they can do it, and some people can learn to do it. I think at all schools, you're going to have a challenge academically and athletically to do both. But here's the thing. If you can do it or learn how to do it, you are one of the most marketable student athletes ever. Because employers want people that know how to do both. And so it really comes down to managing 3 things. It's managing school and the amount of time for that. It's managing training, and it's managing sleep. So you have to figure out a pattern, because we're creatures of habit. We love to have structure of when you're going to study, when you're going to sleep, and when you're going to train. And I think it depends on the major. Like the most difficult majors at my school are engineering, architecture, and computer science. And they have on average 6 to 7 hours of homework a night. Some of the other majors are closer to 3 or 4. But you're on average going to have at least 3 hours of homework a night, which most of you guys are already doing right now. But again, when you pick a major, it goes back to my other thing. Pick something that you love. Pick a major that you're just absolutely passionate about, and then love what you learn.
That's awesome.
You don't have to know what your major is either. I think it's okay to go into college having a few ideas in mind and figuring it out when you get there.
Right.
Because the average major change in the United States college system is 5.
Wow, is that right?
5 major changes.
5?
We try to keep ours down to 2. So I want them to come in having 2 different ideas of what they think they might want. And over the first 3 semesters of school, you really get to learn what you're good at and also what you love.
That's cool. That's really cool. Another one is, has the coronavirus affected your community as far as your recruiting and not being able to see some of the big meets at the end of the year? Like there was no NCSAs and all that. Like, how are you transitioning that? I mean, I guess that might be year specific, but how are the coaches out there doing that? Because we obviously have some kids that are thinking about that.
It's totally changed recruiting, and I don't want you guys to worry. I think that, you know, you're in an amazing sport, and I think that most college coaches recognize improvement. And so with a lot of people not having a season, you know, they're looking at it as we're all in the same boat, and it's all an equal playing field. So everybody pretty much has the same situation that you do.
Yeah.
Make the most of it. So if anything, a college coach is looking for someone that improves in their sophomore and then junior and then senior year. You want that swimmer that's on the way up. So if you didn't get that chance to do it this year, don't worry about it. Just keep working at the next opportunity that you have. The other silver lining is this is a great time to work on weaknesses, because when you do get back to swimming, your muscle memory is going to be, you can reprogram yourself. So if it's stroke count that you need to work on, when you start back up again after a break like this, it is a great time to work on stroke count. If it's head position, if it's anything technical, this is a great time to do that, because you can study film. And then when you get back going into a regular program again, you can apply that to your new stroke. It's like molding clay. The clay is soft right now. So it's a great time to remold yourself into the stroke that you want, your better self.
Yep.
And then when you get programming and when you get back into regular swimming on a regular basis, you can use what you learned in this break or what you've been working on or what you studied in the film. But going back to recruiting, your original question, stay active. Like most of you guys are not ready to recruit yet because you're in 8th grade or younger. But when you do get to that certain point, keep writing the coaches. Keep updating them with things that you've learned, with fun workouts, with new meet times, with new goals, with new academic excellence, things that you've done in the classroom, and with what you've learned in the sport. So I think it comes back to communicating back and forth and finding the place that fits what you want. So we normally like to see our swimmers swim. So if you can videotape yourself or have a coach videotape yourself, so that way that you can send it to the coach when it comes time for that, that sometimes helps a little bit by not able to go to those big championship meets and see people compete. We are all basically doing a lot of recruiting through FaceTime, through regular emails, through regular conversations, and I'm doing virtual tours of my school with my phone. Like I walk around and say, here's the library. Here's the pool. It's all locked up, but there's the building. Walk them around the campus so that they get a feel for what it's like.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jim, part of that too, what I was going to ask is, on a dryland type of thing, especially at the collegiate level, I know a lot of our guys have to do a lot more running these days. What is kind of the focus, I would say, because I know when I went to TCU, and I tell these kids all the time, and Richard said, okay, 12 laps around the track the first time, and my jaw just dropped. Like I had maybe done 6 laps. What do you think is, what do you guys typically do? Let's just say, from a running standpoint.
So I'm sure that I'm going to repeat what Maggie and Laura and Brandon have already told you, but you need to build into it. So you've got to be able to take what you do and just get a little bit better. I think when it comes to running, we're not runners, we're swimmers. So half of the swimmers that I'm in this group right here are probably naturally pretty good at running. And the other half, it may either be from technique or just not having experience doing it. They need to be really careful. So don't run back-to-back days. Probably run every other day. Or if you're an experienced runner, run 2 days and take a day off. Run 2 days and take a day off. You can still do aerobic activity like erging or biking or walking or jump rope or swimming, static swimming on a cord. You can still do low-level heart rate that doesn't always have to be a run. And then have a plan. And what I mean by that is a basic plan that I have for my students. This might be too technical, but have one really slow day that's only 3 miles. And then 2 days later, do a build that's like 4 or 5 miles. And then the 2 or 3 days later, do a long run that's like 6. Okay? This is just the plan for my kids because we have a little bit more running experience. You might want to go a little bit lower than that.
If you
the
guys
next
are
week.
following what we're doing though, senior twos, if you're following that, or the kids that are jumping into senior two, you guys have a progression every day. So stay with that. And remember, if you're just starting out, like Grace, you're just starting out, we want you to max to where you can max. It's not going to be the same as the top seniors that have had that information. Okay. So that's why I keep telling you, make sure you really write it down, journal it. And then when we Zoom, we want you to tell us how much you're doing and where you're, how you're getting it done, etc. So that you are following a path like Jim's saying.
So, and then the next week would be like a 3, a 5, and a 7. And then it would be a 3, a 5, and an 8. And then a 3, a 5, and then a 9. And then a 3, a 5, and then a 10. And work that way. The other thing is make sure you have great shoes. Most swimmers don't realize that you need to throw your shoes out after every 3 or 4 months. They lose their cush. We're built differently. There are certain types and brands of shoes that are made for running, and there are certain types of shoes that are just made to look good. Make sure that you get a shoe that fits your body, and make sure that you get a shoe that really works for you. The width and then the support, because that's just huge. The other thing is, in swimming, a majority of our swimming practices are done at a heart rate between 140 or 120 to 140, 120 to 150. What does that mean with running? That means a light jog or a slow run is more beneficial for swimmers than all out fast. You don't have to do everything all out fast. You can do a long, slow, and boring run. You can do a build. You can do a negative split. And then you can do some sprints. But not every run has to be hard. You can just go on an easy run and really get a lot of benefit out of that. I think you guys are probably doing dry land. Is that right? Are you doing some Zoom dry land?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that is power and strength. What we're missing in this is that long, slow, boring aerobic training. You can get it from Peloton. You can get it from a stationary bike. You can get it from just a light jog or a walk with your parents and your dog. Just do it for an extended period of time. And if you're not up to the levels of mileage that I talked about, do it in increments of time. So one run or walk a week is 20 minutes, one is 30 minutes, and one is 50 minutes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Switching gears just a little bit. Oh, first of all, we have Campbell. Campbell, introduce yourself. Can't hear you, Campbell.
Hi.
And
Hi,
then
Campbell.
Campbell has a surprise guest sitting next to her, Jim. Someone
She
you
won't
went to
leave.
school with.
Hey,
I need to
Jim.
see Campbell. Wait, I got to figure out this. How do I get more?
Campbell
So I'm looking at.
Campbell's right here. Oh, I can't show you where she is.
I'm looking at 9. I need to look at more. Meeting settings. So, wait, I got to bring one of my kids in here. Hold on.
You got
Hold on 1 second.
Go up to your corner. Go up to your corner because you got to see Campbell and you got to see who's with
All
her.
right. Go to my corner and then I go to participants.
No, you go up to the top and you turn it.
You can figure it out, Jim.
Change it to gallery view.
Thank you, Wilson.
Gallery view. Okay, wait.
Up there in the right corner.
Right corner.
This gallery view.
Like a little box or dot. Go get one of your kids.
All right, I'll be right back.
Just so you guys know, and we're going to surprise Jim, Campbell's mom went to school with Jim. So it's, we don't usually have moms on here, but we're going to let this mom come on for a little bit to say hi.
Is that why you let Campbell be late?
Is that why I let Campbell watch?
Oh, no, I just thought it
No.
started at 4.
No,
I was just wrong.
That
You
was
gotta
our
do that.
fault.
No, Campbell got on in the wrong time. She thought the meeting was at
No,
4
I
because
need
I didn't have
gallery view.
meetings at 4.
No.
And
Wait.
Campbell, and the meeting was at 3:30. But this
How do I do
week,
gallery
all of our
view?
meetings are at 3:30, you guys. The next one will be Thursday at
Meeting
3:30,
settings.
and then Friday we'll do 3:30. So, who is that right now? Who's helping you?
Finn, he doesn't want to. Here, come here.
Hi, Finn.
Finn, get over
He's
here.
embarrassing. It's good too.
Finn is 15.
Hi, Finn. Oh, you're a handsome dude. I love it.
Hold on
Looks
one
like your
second.
mom. Okay, Finn, give us the gallery here. We got to get everybody in there. What do you do? Go get everybody else? I'm glad we're on your thing, Brandon, because we can run over time now.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, if you have any questions about anything, think about what you want to ask them, okay? I'm just reading from the paper and the questions the seniors gave me, but senior goal gave me, but I need for you guys to jump in if you had one. I like that Wesley jumped in with the question.
Hey
Yeah, we
Maggie,
need to let
did
Jim
we ever do an
share the
introduction
kids' his
for?
background.
Oh, did we ever give Jim's background?
No,
No.
I just thought of that.
Hey, Jim.
Okay, you know how to do gallery zoom?
I guess.
Gallery view?
I can't see any.
He doesn't know either.
Go up to
This is
the
you.
far right on the black. Okay.
All right, in the black.
Okay, on the black area, and there should be like little dots right there.
Dot, 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 says more. It says chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting, virtual background, disconnect audio.
Oh, yours is that's all happening to us on the bottom. So maybe your view is on the bottom. Brandon, help him out. Somebody help him out.
What kind of computer are you using?
It's an iMac, iPad. Share content.
Oh, you might have to flip through, like scroll through pages if it's similar to the iPhone.
All right. Screen. No.
Hey
2, 4.
Maggie, it's Lydia. I don't want to keep the meeting going. I just wanted to say hi to Jim.
Okay, Jim.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh my God.
Can you see her?
This is my daughter.
That is so cool. Oh,
So
man.
you guys, what year? I think probably Jim. I guess I didn't even have you introduce yourself, like as far as give your history. So back to your history with Texas. So this is when you were swimming.
So I swam, I graduated high school in '86, and I swam on COR from 1977 until 1986.
Isn't that awesome, you guys?
And then I came back and coached at COR from 1991 to 1993.
Five. Was it?
95?
When did you go to petty school? I was thinking that.
95. So
That's what I
91
thought.
to 95, I was with COR again, coaching, doing what these guys are doing. I was actually the Dolphin group,
Yeah.
and Laura Ring was already in senior 2, but I was a senior assistant coach.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He was my coach for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small
Yeah.
world.
So how do you know Campbell's mom? That was when you went to college, right?
Yeah. So she was in the senior group, and I was the assistant for like only maybe
Jim.
a year. Is that right?
Jim, I swam with you at Texas.
Oh,
Lydia, what's your maiden name?
Morrow.
Morrow, Lydia Morrow.
Wow. I'm still having trouble with my. Oh wait, there you are. Lydia's from San Antonio,
Yes.
and you were a sophomore when I was a senior, or
That's right.
You're 2 years difference.
Yep.
How long have you been in Dallas?
We've been in Dallas almost 19 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey
Yeah.
Campbell, what strokes do you swim? Are you a breaststroker like your mom?
No, I swim freestyle.
Aha.
She also does breaststroke. Campbell can
Yes,
do
it is breaststroke. She just doesn't like to admit it.
So your mom at the time, does she ever talk about her swimming?
Yeah, she does. She talks about it all the time.
I do not.
He was really, 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 really fast. So you won the high school championship in I'm trying to think, 89? Lydia, when did you
I graduated high school in 89.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
Okay.
All right, it's good to see you, Jim.
You too, Lydia.
Yeah,
All right, can you see me?
we can see you.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay, I can't see myself, so that's good.
Oh, well, yeah, we can see you. So yeah, Campbell swims. She's just moving into senior gold group, and she swims sprints and 200s. We have some kids that finally can swim the 200 free. I swear to God, that's a hard thing to train. It really is, or to actually swim it right. You know,
It is.
Isabel loves swimming the 200. Isabel, raise your hand. Yeah, Isabel loves
Hi,
race at the
Isabel.
end. Yeah, and Melina, you like 200s now, don't you? Yeah. So you guys can talk about yourself. Anybody have a question for Jim?
Could be anything.
Yeah,
Well, I
anything.
wanted to know how much of the stuff that you got swimming for COR and then in your early days of coaching for COR that you've kind of taken with you and adopted. Because I know I tell the kids all the time, move up 25s was something that I picked up from you, you know, trying to get to lane 1 in your heat.
Yeah, I think that it's a real benefit coaching club and age group because that's so much fun. There's so much energy there. And I think that whatever I do on the collegiate level, I never think that there's not enough time to have fun. I mean, you always have time for fun. So anything you can make that's a game, anything that you can make that's competitive. Like I saw on your website the other day, the cracked eggs for the swimathon stuff. Like crazy stuff like that. That is the best. Sharks and minnows. You know, the greased watermelon back from Neil Matson days.
Yeah.
You know, just fun stuff is always the best. But when it comes to sets and swimming, I take a lot of the stuff that I do, and you know, from Mark Williams, from Mike Sheridan, from Fernando, from Maggie, like I steal sets, and I just love like figuring out like how I can take some of the things that I've done in my past to make my future better. So it's great. So a lot of the stuff from COR, both as when I was a swimmer, like Mark Williams race pace stuff, to when I was coaching is fundamental for what I do now.
Yeah, it's interesting when you coach, if you don't want to change on the next season, you don't want to be coaching. I mean, we look for something every single time to add, build upon, and you steal ideas from everybody. And then, and then you go to a meeting and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I need to bring that back out again, you know? Right?
Yeah,
So,
I keep bringing things back and I recycle them. I have what's called the 90-10 rule. So I keep my program the same. 90% of what I do from year to year to year is the same.
Right.
And 10% is something new.
Yep.
And if you keep that, then you have some consistency with what I'm doing. But at the same time, that 10% that I add, sometimes it's stuff from 8 years ago that I'm bringing back because it's so valuable. But just fun stuff. It could be either training or technical or just that we're bringing back into it. Like right now, I think some of the cool stuff is the burpees. Like this is literally dryland days back from the 1980s. So in my dryland that I'm giving my team, I give them an hour and 15-minute dryland. I go back to exercises that we did at Cottonwood Pool in the summer of 1982. It's crazy.
And those are the good ones.
Yeah.
You guys have any questions? How about telling these guys how important it is to do those 3,000 meter sets, and they might not be the most exciting, but you gotta build into it. Yeah.
So I not only like look at this from a coaching perspective, I'm also a parent, and all 3 of my kids swim, and they're 13, 15, and 17. So I get a lot of what you guys go through at your age and the groups and the progressions that you do. And there's a time and a place for everything. And I think that if you build it right, you know, the stepping stones is really creating a great base. And that's what you're doing at COR, is you're really learning how to train and you're learning how to swim with good technique. But those long aerobic sets, having that base really allows you to sprint more when you get more muscle and when you're in college. So I think sprinting and lifting comes later. I think aerobic sets, long sets like that with great technique and details are what you guys are doing right now. My biggest thing is kicking. The fastest swimmers in the world are the best kickers in the world. So raise your hand if you're a good kicker.
Wesley is. Lena, you're not bad.
Raise your hand
Isabel,
if
you're not
you're
bad.
so kicker. Give me one of
Hannah's
these,
pretty
so
good.
kicker. Okay. Give me a thumbs down if you're not a very good kicker. Okay. There's hope for everybody. Listen to me carefully. You ready? Even if you're not a great kicker, if you can improve just a little bit, you can have a dramatic effect on your swimming, because your kicking allows your body position to be a little bit better. You may not get a ton of propulsion out of your kick, but it might allow you to have a better angle for your stroke. And kicking is a choice. My best years followed a time in which I couldn't put my head in the water because I had a lot of ear surgeries. And so I had a year and a half where I just had to kick the workouts. It made me a great swimmer because I had to learn how to kick. And when I did that, it really allowed me to put myself right on top of the water. So it made my swimming a whole lot easier. But kicking. You don't have to have a kick set to work on your kick. Right now in these dry lands that you're doing, it's really fundamental that your core totally relates to what your kick power can do. So for instance, if you do 6 100s best kick average on 3 minutes, and let's say that your old average used to be 120. If you can do that 6 months from now and try to go 118, just drop those 2 seconds for your average. Those 2 seconds of improvement could mean tenths, seconds, and huge chunks of time to your overall swimming.
Cool. Anybody else have one? How about something about your flies, you guys? No one's
Pretty
gonna
shy.
answer?
Hey,
What was
Jen,
the question?
go ahead.
Go ahead, Wesley. What?
Ask what the question was.
We're still deciding on the question. Jim,
For those younger swimmers that might listen to this later, or even for swimmers that are on this call right now, what would be your words to encourage them to continue training dry land on their own, or coming to the Zoom live classes and stuff? Why do you think it's beneficial, even though we're out of the pool and we can't be in the pool training together? What is this dry land training going to do to help them in the future?
Great question. You have to look at it as an opportunity. So one of the things that I don't have on a regular basis is enough time. Like when I'm back at school and when I'm in a regular mode, I don't have enough time. So right now I'm asking all of my students to do the things that you would do if you had the extra time, because right now that you do. So when it comes time for dry land, that is so key to the core, to putting things together. And I mean CORE of the body, not core, the team. The more dry land that you can do right now, the better your swimming can be. Because if you can come back to swimming with a different motor, who likes cars? Like, cars that you drive. Well, here's a simple analogy. Let's say that before this coronavirus situation started, you had a 4-cylinder car, right? And you're working on that engine, and you've really, the core, the dry land, the abs that you're doing, the planks that you're doing, the push-ups that you're doing, the pull-ups that you're doing, the burpees that you're doing, all of the stuff that you're doing, you change your 4-cylinder engine into a 6-cylinder engine. You are going to have the ability to have more power when you come back. So those that look at this as an opportunity to get better are the ones that are. Everyone across the country, listen carefully, every single swimmer across the country, we're in the same situation. We all don't have a pool. we all are in this, not able to go to workouts. We don't have meets. Don't feel sorry for yourselves. Find a way to set a small goal. Like if you can, right now, how many sit-ups can you do in a minute? Test that. And then in 3 weeks, work on it and test it again. How many hanging pull-ups can you do? Test it right now. And in 3 weeks, test it again. What is your running mile time? Test it right now and test it again in 3 weeks. You can see measurable gains if you document and if you follow the plan that your coaches are giving you. This is a great time to work on things that you never could. Like I always want to start my practice with 15 minutes of abs in dryland, but I rarely do that because I'm so worried about getting all the swimming in. Well, right now, it's a great time to do that. So don't look at this as this huge adversity that is just terrible. Look at it as an opportunity to possibly get better because you have the time to.
And one of the things that Jim talked about earlier was, the continual progression of getting better. And especially, at the younger ages, you get to those points where kids grow faster than others, or, they might not have to do as much at an early age to be really fast. But then once they get older, how many, I guess, have you had that are more so late bloomers, I guess?
A majority of my kids are late bloomers. I think that all depends on the program they come in from, their families. I think sometimes it's when they started the sport, but you can always keep adding more progression-wise to be at your best later in your career. You want to get better, but you don't want to do like everything at once. I really feel that you can just find ways to work on something that maybe you're not good at. Raise your hand if you think you're sleeping more than you normally would. Are you guys sleeping more than you normally would? Abigail says no. She's like, no. All right, here's the deal. This is a great time for you to plan to try to get more sleep than you normally do. Who normally gets about 8 hours of sleep? 7 hours. 9 hours.
9.
10 hours. Try to gain 1 hour extra of sleep. Who's 12 hours?
No way. Oh, that's
Crazy story.
senior goal group. That's Trey.
My
About
mom,
6.
when I was growing up, the day that school got out, she would measure my head. I would stand up on a door and she would mark how tall I was. And then when school started again, she would measure it again. And she was convinced that I grew more in the summers than I did in the school year because I slept more. Okay? Now, I know that all you guys have virtual learning, and I'm not saying that don't do your schoolwork. And I know that you have things around the house that you're helping your parents out with, chores, right? You're making your beds, you're helping cook, you're helping clean up, you're helping with the yard, because that's what we do, right? We help people. So all that is going on. Try to get to bed earlier, and I bet you're going to grow a little bit more than you normally would. So this recovery time can be really beneficial for you. But the thing is only if you choose. You have a choice to make right now. You can choose to just like really have this be such a huge adversity that it really affects you in a negative way and feel sorry for yourselves, or you have a choice to make the most of it. There's a lot of really difficult situations around the world. And in the part of the country that I live in right now, there's a lot of people that are really sick. So what I want you to try to do is to understand that what you're doing with this quarantine is trying to help you. And what you can do for your swimming and for your team and for yourself is find a way to get better. Share the experience. Grab your mom, grab your dad, grab a sibling, grab someone that you can do it with, and say, hey, let's go for a mile run. hey, would you count my sit-ups for me? Hey, let's do a chin-up contest. Hey, let's do this together. So make it family fun. Second, log everything. Write down the things that you want to improve. Write down some measurements of some of the things that I talked about. Laura Ring and Maggie and Brandon might have an idea of, how do I give a little test, and then a month later or 3 weeks later, give another test so that I know that I'm getting better. When you know that you have like a meet or you have a test coming up, you're going to do something today so that that test works out to be in your favor, because that's what you do. But when you don't have a measurement, or when you don't have something to look forward to or a goal, sometimes we can get lost. So work towards getting better and improving. The other thing is this, there's a lot of information out there. Video on swimming, web talks on swimming. There's so much going on that you can learn and explore and really find out more about your craft. So take the time to try and do it. I'm telling my students, go back to their creative self, whether it's cooking, art, music, singing. Do something that you love to do that you normally don't have time to do. Your creative brain could really stimulate everything else to make it a whole lot nicer and a whole lot more fun. So figure out a project that maybe you can do that really works that creative brain. If you want to learn how to play guitar, this is a great time to do that. If you have other things going on that you want to do more of, try to make that happen. So I know I'm running close to my time limit. I have 8 minutes to go. Let me know any other questions that you guys might have.
Can I ask one more off of what you're talking about, but some of the senior goals wanted to know. They asked if how do the college coaches plan out their rosters of recruiting in-state versus out-of-state, and travel team versus on their kids that they're gonna swim regularly?
I think
I know you
every
can't talk
college coach,
specifically, but as a general.
yeah, I think every college coach does it differently.
Yeah.
And it depends on how they get students to join them. Like, I don't have to deal with scholarship. So I don't really have an in-state versus out-of-state policy. I'm just looking for the best kid. And it can be the best character that has the shared values that I want, that wants it more than anyone else, and that has a lot of upside, and they can handle the academic athletic balance. So for me, it's a little bit different. But for some other people, it might depend on the scholarship amounts that they have and whether or not getting in-state kids or out-of-state kids are better for their formula.
Yeah.
So that all depends. As far as the travel roster goes, again, that's up to the coach. I travel everybody. I make it a point to make sure that everyone knows that from the beginning. Because I think if you're on the team, you're on the team, and you're on the team, and your value to the team doesn't matter if you're the fastest or the slowest. If you can bring something to the team, if you can make those around you better, I want you on the team. And if you know that you can improve and show improvement, everybody's morale is higher when they're going best times. So I'm looking for those kids that want to do best times. So again, for me, I don't worry about travel team or non-travel team. I worry about those that want to come in and improve, because I want a happy team. Happy team has a tendency to work a little bit harder and have a better morale.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about when you say best times, what about the kids that have their slumps and they're training super hard? How do you get them through all that? Like, for some of
Try a
these,
new event.
especially when these guys are aging up, they're used to dropping as younger ones, and then all of a sudden they age up and they're like, whoa.
I think that you need to just keep trying other things. Try not to specialize. Like, I was a flyer when I was 8 and under, a freestyler when I was 9 and 10, a backstroker, back to breast, back to fly, back to breaststroke again. So I always try, even in college, to try new events. So if I have a kid that comes in as a backstroker, IMer, occasionally I might throw a new event in there to see if they have the ability to maybe morph into a new better self. So a lot of times I have a distance kid that might end up being a middle distance kid, or I have a backstroker that might end up being a better flyer. So if you're having trouble with an event, or if you're just really stuck on a certain event, try something new. But if it's the event that you want and you just hit a roadblock, figure out ways, ask your coaches of what you can do better. Can you practice better? Can your technique be better? Can your intensity be better? Is it mental? Do you want to be better? Are you afraid of the event? Can you overcome those fears? What can you do to mentally be and physically be ready to be better?
What are some of your tips of getting over the mental type side of it?
A lot of it's pre-race strategy. Like I want them to identify what they need to do in their pre-race ritual. So when they're behind the blocks, I have an anxiety scale of 1 to 10, and you need to figure out where you need to be. Like, do you need to be a 6 or a 7? And if you're a 6 or a 7, how do you get there? Do you do it with lower breathing, better heart rate? Do you want the message from your friends to be remain calm, relax, sing happy birthday and divert yourself? Or do you need someone that needs to be a 9 or a 10? You got this. You're going to go all out to the 25. You're going to be the fastest. You're going to go really fast from the beginning. You need to get really pumped up.
Right.
Like you have to figure out what you need before you go into that race. Secondly, have a good race strategy. Do you know what your pace is going to be? Do you know what your kick count on your dolphin streamlines are going to be? Do you know what your stroke rate's going to be? How many strokes? What are your turns going to look like? What should you be at the halfway mark? Are you the person that comes home better? Are you the person that's a front runner? Or are you the person that's good in the middle? Figure out what it is and ask your coaches, what can I improve upon? Do I go out really fast and die? Or do I go out too slow and have too much left over at the end? So it's one of those things where it's individualistic on each person, what they need to get better. But if you get really nervous, you can always go back to your strategy, and your strategy helps calm you. And then train to win. Like every single time, I always like to try to finish my fast practices with something fast. So we train fast on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are something else. They're easy, or they're more kicking, or they're more equipment. But Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I really want them to feel what it's like to feel in a race. So whatever the workout's like, we always finish with 5 all-out 50s or 8 all-out 25s. So fast swimming trains your brain to be fast.
Yep.
Good.
That's perfect. Anybody else have something? So good to see you, Jim.
Thanks. I'm sorry I babbled so much.
Oh, no, it was great.
No, you did it all. I loved it. It was great. And I'm excited for the other kids to get to see it.
Yeah, Jim, how often do you get back to this area? Is your mom still here?
My mom is in Pittsburgh. I don't get back to Dallas enough, but I am, if we're back in school, back in session, I'm going to take the team. SMU has a meet in November, and I'm going to bring my whole team there. So that should be fun.
Oh, that'd be fun. We'll come see
It's a 3-day invitational prelims finals. So I'm looking forward to that if we're able to do it.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'll be great.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys.
For sure. We'll definitely just get down to the pool or something so we can see you. Let us know what hotel you're at or something.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Great to see you guys.
Okay, everybody. Say bye. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
Jim. Love
everybody.
it. Take care. Give Heather a big hug for me.
I will. See you, Maggie. Bye, Brandon. Bye, Laura.
Bye.
Bye. See you later, Jim.
See you.
Thanks, guys. See you on Thursday.